I have to finish the story.
When The Rock goes out to get something to eat tonight in San Diego, should The Rock sit in a booth or should The Rock sit at the head of the table?
I'm gonna sue the WWE.
The WWE has an impossible decision to make. If you're Triple H, what would you rather have as the main event of WrestleMania? Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, or Roman Reigns versus The Rock, who just returned this past Monday? I feel like the first question you have to ask is, what's the bigger match? Cody Rhodes is one of the biggest stars in WWE right now. You know, every week he gets a big reception from the crowd, despite being a full-time performer, which sometimes leads to fatigue, like we're seeing with Seth Rollins right now.
The president has just announced that we have caught and compromised to a permanent end Osama bin Laden.
However, The Rock is one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. He's extremely well known. You know, if you ask a random guy in the street, they're most likely gonna know The Rock. And overall, he just has more mainstream appeal. Like, if the match ends up being Roman Reigns versus The Rock, it's gonna be on every single sports network. You're gonna see it on Bleacher Report, you're gonna see it on ESPN, and I don't think that's gonna be necessarily true if it ends up being Cody. So in terms of what's the bigger match, I think it's safe to say The Rock wins on this one. But, you know, while that is true, you also have to consider the build and the storyline. I think there's something ready made for the WWE with the Bloodline storyline and who's the real tribal chief, who's the real head of the table. The Rock was the guy in his prime, Roman Reigns is the guy today. So telling that story of who is going to lead the Samoan family, I think it can be very good and very interesting. And of course, both the Roman Reigns and The Rock are really good on the mic. However, the only concern with this is like who's actually going to show up to do the build. Like, I don't want to see Jimmy Uso and Paul Heyman having to carry the storyline, man. Like, are they going to end up doing it via satellite?
I do believe we're going to get there. We'll get there. We'll definitely get there.
Both guys are part-time right now, but in fairness to Roman, he was pretty much full-time the build to WrestleMania last year. So the question is more so like, will The Rock be able to commit to doing this full-time, or at least a couple of shows leading up to the build at WrestleMania, man? Because I really don't want it to be a one-sided promo where it's just Roman Reigns talking and then it's a Rock video. Like, I want to see them both in the ring together a couple of times leading up to that match. On the other hand, Cody still hasn't finished his story. You know, the story of winning the championship his dad has never won. We thought it would happen last year, but, you know, Solo got in the way.
Back in and hammering away at Orton. Oh, no.
I think, you know, the build to last year was really good. You know, everyone was super invested in that main event, and there's definitely legs to them doing it again. Cody getting his second chance at finishing the story, I feel like that's also a decent story. And when it comes to Cody, like, he's gonna be there full time. So I think in terms of build, Cody definitely gets the edge. But the overall storyline, I think The Rock probably wins out on this one. Just because we've already seen Roman versus Cody Rhodes, and then, you know, they're doing a second match. But yeah, I think Roman Reigns versus The Rock definitely has a better story. But what about the match quality? The last time we saw The Rock wrestle a full match, it was at WrestleMania 29. And in that match, he tore his abductor and abdominal muscles halfway through the match.
I was in a match. I was wrestling at WrestleMania, and I wound up tearing 2 tendons off my pelvis. I was like, because that's some good pain.
He still ended up finishing the match, which is insane. Like, I can't imagine the pain he was going through. But of course, the match quality suffered quite a bit due to that injury. So you have to wonder whether The Rock can pull off a full-time match considering his age. Like, will he still be... With Cody, obviously, him and Roman had a Match of the Year candidate last year. So I feel like there's no question when it comes to match quality. They're going to have a really good match if it's a Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. With The Rock, there's a chance of injury, you know what I'm saying? And that could just lead to everything going downhill. Also, there's a predictability factor. Like, Roman versus Cody, I feel like, is pretty unpredictable, considering he has a chance to pass Hulk Hogan's record of 1,474 days as WWE champion. With The Rock, you already know he's not gonna win, because like there's no way he's gonna hold that championship and go full time after that. So yeah, in terms of predictability, I think The Rock versus Roman Reigns is super predictable. Like, you know, Roman is probably gonna win, and with Cody, it's a little bit more unpredictable, just considering that fact. So in terms of match quality, Cody for sure gets the edge. Finally, what about the fan reception? I feel like The Rock vs Roman Reigns has been one of the most highly anticipated matches pretty much ever since Roman Reigns became the tribal chief, man. Like, people have already written the script themselves, like they're really hyped about the storyline. So with that, there's a good amount of fans who think that, you know, if you have the chance to do this match, you have to do it in the main event of WrestleMania. But there's another group that thinks that Cody should be the match at WrestleMania, considering the fact that he's at every single show, he's a full-time performer, and he has a good chance of winning the title. You know, some people are fed up with Roman being part-time. You know, Roman Reigns' returns has become a meme because he's returned like 100 times during this 3-year title reign. And, you know, they would rather have a champion that's there a little bit more consistent. But, you know, what makes this a tough decision is just how split the fan base is. Like, there's a lot of people who just prefer The Rock, and there's a lot of people who would argue so much for Cody. I think one of the arguments I saw is that, you know, 10 years ago, The Rock took a main event spot from a full-time performer in CM Punk. And are they really about to do that again when The Rock is 10 years older? I don't know. You know, it's interesting. And, you know, since the fan base is so split, like, Triple H can't really go wrong, but he also can't really go right. Because, you know, he's going to upset one side of the fan base by picking Cody over The Rock or the other way around. So, you know, when it comes to fan reception, it's 50-50. You know, both of them have the legion of fans who want to see them in the main event. So with that, some people have come up with a compromise that's gonna make everyone happy. The WWE is doing a stadium show in Australia for Elimination Chamber this year. It's gonna be a big show. You know, it was reported at some point last year that the Australian government requested that The Rock has an appearance at the show. The WWE has a deal with the Tourism Board of Australia to host the event in Perth. And the show is likely to be given tax breaks and be heavily subsidized. So I'm assuming it's going to be like the Saudi shows where they have a huge stage and a bunch of fireworks. Like, it's going to be a huge event. So instead of having an appearance, what if The Rock ends up having a championship match in the main event? And then you do Roman versus Cody at WrestleMania. You know, I think that's a pretty good idea. But it's been brought up the fact that Elimination Chamber is a small-time pay-per-view. But, you know, at the same time, you have to consider that it's at a 70,000 plus stadium. There's going to be so much hype for that event, just considering this is the first time the WWE is doing a pay-per-view show in Australia in a really long time. I think the last time was that something Super Showdown show, which was like more of like a house show. So, you know, honestly, if this was me having the book, this is probably the option which I'd go for, just because, I don't know, I want a more unpredictable main event for WrestleMania. But honestly, you can't really go wrong with either. The only thing that sucks about all of this is whoever wins that number one contenders match on SmackDown this Friday, like, there's no chance they're gonna win. So that Royal Rumble match is just gonna fall a bit flat, because you already know it's gonna be either The Rock or Cody at some point. But yeah, overall, what do you guys think, man? What would you do if you were Triple H? It's a tough question. I'm curious to hear your thoughts in the comments, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.